The compassionate story of Mephibosheth, a tale of unlikely kindness. In the Bible, there is a story that stands out for its unexpected kindness, compassion, and grace. It's the story of Mephibosheth, a man who, against all odds, was shown profound mercy and love. It's a story that reminds us that kindness can come from the most unlikely places, and that sometimes we are called to show compassion even when we don't have to. Mephibosheth was the son of Jonathan, King Saul's son, and grandson to King Saul himself. When King Saul and Jonathan were killed in battle, tragedy struck Mephibosheth's life. As a young boy, he was just 5 years old when news came that his father and grandfather had fallen. In the chaos and panic of that day, his nurse fled with him, fearing that they would be killed as well, since they were royal blood. In her haste, she accidentally dropped Mephibosheth, and he was left crippled for life, unable to walk. Years passed, and Mephibosheth lived in obscurity, hiding in a place called Lo-debar, a town far removed from the palace. It was a life marked by isolation and pain, a life where he lived in constant reminder of his brokenness and the loss of his family. But then came a turn of fate. David, who had become king after Saul's death, remembered the covenant he had made with Jonathan, Mephibosheth's father, long before the days of Saul's downfall. David had promised Jonathan that he would show kindness to his descendants for the sake of their friendship and the love they shared. So David sought out Mephibosheth. David sent for Mephibosheth, and when he was brought before the king, Mephibosheth bowed low in fear, assuming that the new king might seek to punish him as the last living descendant of Saul. But instead of punishment, David offered him something entirely unexpected: grace, compassion, and restoration. David said to him, "Do not be afraid, for I will surely show you kindness for the sake of your father Jonathan. I will restore to you all the land that belonged to your grandfather Saul, and you will always eat at my table." This was no small promise. Mephibosheth had lost everything: his family, his position, and his ability to walk. He was a broken man, living in exile and hiding from the world. And yet, here was King David, a man who had every reason to be bitter toward Saul's family, offering him not only safety, but a place of honor at the king's own table. In response, Mephibosheth, overwhelmed and humbled, said, "What is your servant that you should notice a dead dog like me?" David's compassion was a picture of God's mercy, undeserved, unearned, and yet freely given. Mephibosheth didn't ask for anything. He didn't deserve anything. He was a man living in exile, forgotten by the world. But David saw him, and David loved him, and that love changed the course of his life forever. From that day forward, Mephibosheth ate at the king's table, alongside the king's sons. He was treated with honor and dignity, and his brokenness no longer defined him. David's kindness restored not just his physical inheritance, but his sense of worth and belonging. This story of Mephibosheth is a powerful reminder that no matter how broken or forgotten we may feel, God's love is always there, ready to restore us. It's a story of grace, a story of love that doesn't make sense by the world's standards, a love that chooses to show kindness, even when it's not deserved. In a world where we often feel unseen, or where our past mistakes or circumstances define us, Mephibosheth's story reminds us that we are never too far gone for grace to reach us. No matter how many times we've fallen or how broken we may be, God's mercy is greater than all of it, and He invites us to sit at His table, just like Mephibosheth. So if you're feeling broken or forgotten today, remember Mephibosheth. He found compassion in the most unlikely of places, and so can you. Type Amen if you believe that God's grace can restore what was once lost. Like, share, and subscribe for more life-changing stories from the Bible.